Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I'm your host, Alex Reevy, along with the tailored temptress herself, Sandy Reevy. Say hi.
I get that. Hi, everybody.
It is episode 142, April 12th. Let's get right into it. In the transits, we have a big week. Tuesday, April 13th, Sun sextile Mars.
Vitality increases.
Wednesday, April 14th, Venus ingress Taurus.
Home again, piggly diggly do.
Thursday, April 15th, Sun sextile Jupiter.
Granted permission.
Friday, April 16th, Sun square Pluto.
Stand still?
Saturday, April 17th, Mars trine Jupiter.
Wear many hats.
Saturday, April 17th, Mercury sextile Jupiter.
Collect your tools.
And Mercury sextile Mars.
Able to think to the final act.
And Mercury square Pluto.
Clash of the Titans.
And winding up the weekend with Sunday, April 18th, Sun Cazimi Mercury.
To know the way.
Then in Talisman time, Sandy has finished up a few to gain authority and financial success, to get the plan engaged, and to easily let go. And one upcoming to authentically and artfully connect to reputation. Then on the horizon, we have many events, one specifically happening tomorrow, a vision boarding event you won't want to miss. And in our house, Sandy and I are going to discuss our excitement about the Mother's Day pop-up coming up, bringing back these spring collections, and reminiscing about the She Beads days. So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions. And the search ends here, where the night is totally clear. And your heart is fierce. And so you finally know you control where you go. Hello, tailored temptress.
Can we tell that story a little bit later? Because I think it blends in with that Mother's Day pop-up.
Sure.
Just on that reminiscing, I sat in that dressing room.
That is so perfect. You know? Okay, we're going to do that. So stay tuned till the end of this episode, because you're going to hear a fun story about the good old She-Bee days and why I'm calling Sandy a tailored temptress. So let's go direct to all of you listeners. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. You know we love you. And so Juanita D, she sent in a message. Hi, Alex. I've been wearing my new Talisman bracelet since I received it. I am so in love with this one, the most out of all of them. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Juanita. And she's got some.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really nice to have that new talisman that you get that excitement about. And
well, it's interesting because if I tell her story, we had a call scheduled for her birthday, the solar return reading that I do, which is done. Everybody should have a solar return reading. If you're going to do one a year, it's not in January unless your birthday.
It's right around your birthday. The best time to schedule it is a couple weeks before your birthday.
Right. And usually people think the beginning of the year, January, like what's this year look like for me? But it really changes on your birthday. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I had a call with her, and earlier that morning at like 6 something in the morning, I had made a really great talisman. And when I said, wow, this is sitting right on this, conjunct this on this. This is like perfect. And I just read it to her, and she said, send it to me right away. It's exactly what my goals are for this year. So,
awesome.
I link into that here, that I do believe that everyone can have a solar return chart read and pick up a new talisman every solar return time based on the energy of that period. For your intention, for those goals of the next year. I have several people that are doing that because they're aiding, whether we have to mitigate something going on in their chart that year that is maybe hard or challenging. We can do a talisman that mitigates that.
That's so interesting. That's a great idea, because I just had my birthday. You just had your birthday too. But when we were going through my solar return chart, and one of the big themes that stuck out to me was writing and communicating in my career. And so I just signed up for a copywriting workshop that lasts a few weeks, and I'm going to get, hopefully you'll all be able to tell by the emails I'm writing. But yeah, so I mean, I'm really stepping into that, and I'm trying to be mindful of what this year is holding for me. And it gets to be a little more exciting because when you split your life up into different themes, it's not just the same old, same old. You have these like side projects that you're working on that you're so excited about, that you treasure, and you're also getting your normal day-to-day things done. So yeah, I love that idea. I think that's great. Go in 2 weeks before your birthday, get a solar return reading, and also ask you during the reading, are there any talismans that'll help benefit my year? That's great.
Good idea.
So in the transits, let's move in. We have a big week here.
Wow.
So Tuesday, April 13th is when we're starting out. I do, at the top of this episode, want to mention that this Tuesday, so AKA tomorrow, if you're listening to this podcast on time, we are having a free event. It is a vision board event with me and my mom. We are going to be putting a really cool spin on this vision boarding because it's going to be geared a little bit more towards the house structure and how we want to put things on the vision board. And so my mom's going to be chatting about what's going on astrologically. We're going to be giving you some just general topics on the different houses and giving you tips on the vision board itself. So
do I talk about, I want to talk about it. Is now a good time?
The vision board?
Yeah.
Sure.
About the energy of the new moon. This is a new moon in Aries. We get a new moon in Aries once a year, and always when the sun has to be in Aries. So the sun in Aries is exalted. It's right after that spring equinox when the sun moves from Pisces to Aries. And when the moon swings around, which she will be doing on the 11th, which was last night, about 9:31 on Sunday, the April 11th. So that's when that new moon began, and it was in a nice sextile to the ruler Mars, which gives us this, and Mars is still in Gemini, and Mars is coming to the end of Gemini over the next week or so. That Mars has the full-on multi-purpose energy here. So having the moon and the sun in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, is the time. It's when we had our studio and we used to do new moon circles. The one that was always in this time, and it sometimes
the
could be it could be in March.
Right.
It could be in April, like it is now. That is the time that we always did vision boarding. We had the cardboards and the scissors and the glue and the magazines and setting the intention that way. And you're doing it for the first time.
Virtually.
And you've got a new twist to it.
I do. So I have a PDF that I've created that will give you kind of like a template. So it's a piece of paper that you can put in the poster board, or even just use that small sheet of paper if you don't have time to go get that big vision poster or you have no place to put it. You can use that little letter size printout that I have. On the printout, there's, of course, all of the details for the links for joining us in either the Zoom room or the Facebook Live. The benefit of going into the Zoom room is that we can see you and we can interact with you. The Facebook Live, that's where everyone's just kind of going to be the audience. And how else is this different? Yeah, there's just some added little benefits of printing out that PDF. It'll show you where to place your picture.
But you're using the first house, the second house, the third house. You're using all of the themes of the 12 houses of the zodiac.
Yes.
Yeah, the horoscope. Brilliant.
Right. And just in time, well, really just before, we're going to be unveiling our astrology basics with you and Susan. And we've been recording those. I've been editing those, and we'll have those up soon. But this will be a great precursor for those astrology basics. So if you're wanting to learn a little bit more about the housing structure, and do a vision board at the same time, and it's like win-win. They're both here
and
for
free.
you. And free.
Win, win, win.
And you get to hang with us. So there you go. We, of course, you can send this to all of your family, your friends, and go get your scissors, go get your glue sticks, go get your magazines and put them all on the kitchen table, and let's get creative, because this new moon is a really powerful, wonderful time for us to set intentions.
For the whole year, until next year this time.
Right.
And that is, I guess you're going to talk more about that, but it's at 5:22 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday, April 13th.
Yes. So speaking of Tuesday, April 13th, let's get back into the transits.
Yeah.
This date specifically is Sun sextile Mars.
Which is one reason this is chosen. Mm-hmm. This is around 6:09 p.m. Vitality increases. Now, the sun is in the sign of Aries, ruled by Mars. You know, Astrology 101, Mars rules Aries. And the sun is making the sextile to this Mars, as I mentioned. So there's a reception here. So the sun wants to take the action in more ways than one. And there's so many things that one wants to do. Have you not been feeling that, actually? Right? With like multiple threads of things that you have to weave kind of together or separately. Like, got to do this, close that, open that, close that,
Some
open
of
that.
Spinning plates.
It's really interesting because this time we've got the sun. When the sun moved into Aries, where he is right now, he is in a sextile to Mars. It feels like there's not enough time, and yet I have all this great energy to do all these things, but the clock keeps ticking, and I don't have enough time, which is flipped opposite from 2020. Now, the sun moves into Aries every year in the Aries period, that end of March to the end of April. And last year in 2020, when it was here, we had time, but we were restricted. And that was the sun in Aries in a square to Mars. Sun was squaring the ruler of the place it was in.
Very interesting, very perfect timing, really.
Yeah. And so this is a feeling of, I've wrote in my cheat sheet, time to pack our bags. It's travel time. Is it time to get away, or at least start making these plans? Right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing.
Yes. And I'm making multiple trips planned and getting excited for all of it. So.
Our vitality increases.
Yes. So Wednesday, April 14th, Venus ingress Taurus. Home again. Home again.
Piggly diddly do. And I think you know who I'm talking to. Venus has done well, I guess. She gets to go home into Taurus after being in the sign of her detriment. So has she been fired? She didn't do so good there? Or she just did so well that she gets to now go home to Taurus. She's happy to tend her growing garden, wear rich fabrics, and eat and drink fine earth-to-table meals. Now, she is coming, as soon as she gets into Taurus, she starts to make a square to Saturn. I'll give you a heads up on this day. But moderation, please. This will happen in 10 days. So Venus in a square to Saturn says, stop. You've done too much of that eating and spending or doing. And so I'm giving you that heads up that if you take little bites throughout the day, you're not going to get that sudden
Right. And really Taurus is about savoring, being in the place of being in that patience and really enjoying the quality of the taste, the quality of the time, and not being in any type of rush. Aries was all about the rush. What can we get done? What can we do? How fast can we do it? And here in Taurus, it's just about creating a really peaceful, harmonious rhythm. And
Taurus is a fixed earth sign. So we get to, Venus gets to go slower. Right. Gets to move through her garden, move through the kitchen, move through anything that is stable and luxurious.
Yay. Exciting.
Yeah.
So the next day, Thursday, April 15th, is actually your second favorite day of the month.
I built in a new thing.
Yeah, you did.
I was like, I really like this day. So it's my second favorite day.
Okay. And this one is
but please know that my favorite day comes in this week.
this same week
as well.
So by default, this makes this week your favorite week of the month.
Yeah, and maybe one of my favorite days of the quarter. I'm not so sure.
Okay.
I didn't look at that.
So let's repeat that again. Thursday, April 15th, Sun sextile Jupiter.
This happens at 11:59 a.m. Isn't there a song, 11:59? Michael Franti sings.
Oh, yeah.
He does. Granted permission. And let's break this down. It's like the sense that the true blue nature of optimism is here. This aspect hasn't happened since April 10th of 2009. That was 12 years ago, folks. Just in case you thought I was confused on the 09.
2009.
Yeah. And that wasn't a very pleasant one because the sun at that point, the ruler was in Pisces opposed to Saturn, which was a slowdown or a stoppage of what should have been granted permission. In other words, you were denied permission at that point. But this time, the sun's ruler, still Mars, because it's in Aries, is at 25 degrees of Gemini. And it's partile trine to the Jupiter and sextile the sun. So it's a feeling great about life and all the things and all the places that you can go. Can I pop over to Dr. Seuss?
Sure, which one?
This one was actually published one year before his death when he was 87 years old. And I remember buying this book years and years ago. I guess it was right around, 1987. Although, I guess Andrew would have been 3 and you weren't quite born yet. I want to just check in on this. Congratulations. Today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know. And you are the guy who will decide where to go. You'll look up and down streets, look 'em over with care. About some you will say, I don't choose to go there. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not so good street. And you may not find any you'll want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. It's opener there in the wide open air. Out there things can happen and frequently do to people as brainy and footsy as you. And then things start to happen. Don't worry, don't stew. Just go right along. You'll start happening too. Oh, the places you'll go.
Yeah.
Makes me want to cry. Makes me want to read the rest of this whole book.
Right. I mean, it is. It's a beautiful, kind of coming of age that you're at any age, really, and you're just stepping out on a new journey and just imagining the situations ahead, the opportunities, the scary ones, and just knowing and having the confidence that you have brains in your head and feet in your shoes.
Right. And then I wanted to give a little homage to Dr. Seuss.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, just with the headlines that I've been reading, it's a tough thing because I think, and this is probably totally misplaced in this podcast, but I have this debate going about authors or artists or creators of any type, and they create these beautiful works of art and sometimes not so beautiful works of art, but does that completely reflect on that author or that painter, or because, say, their actions do something differently that doesn't appeal to you or goes against your values, do you then discredit their artwork that made you feel some sort of way, or like changed your life in some sort of way? Does that totally void it? So it's not for us to be discussed right now. These are just things that I've been thinking about and wanted to just poise the question right here. So anyway, thank you for
Good
sharing.
question.
And I that is a beautiful poem. Thank you. Friday, April 16th, Sun square Pluto.
8:27 a.m. and it's a Friday. Stand still? You know, this is Sun very exalted in the sign of Aries that likes to be independent and move forward and, not think twice. And it's squaring the nuclear planet of Pluto, the big guns guy. Right. And a fight right now is maybe what you feel like doing, because there's maybe some power plays or some actions taken by some higher authorities that that deprive you of your vitality. But that's not my advice to you. My advice to you is simply understand with a judgment. You can judge it. I'm telling you, this is a square. So you have to look at it with judgment. And then as you are flipping a wheel, you've seen strong people flipping like truck wheels.
Yeah.
It's like flip that wheel, flip the coin, because it's going to be hard, but flip it to know that, others may be doing the same. So that if you can simply understand and sit in that power, just kind of like you were just doing, interesting enough, and get other people's opinions, right? Because you don't have to move on anything. You just have to, you don't even have to say, I understand. You just have to be open.
Okay, so let's move on to the next day, Saturday, April 17th. This is your favorite day and your astro interesting day. So literally, this is like a big 3-day span. This transit in particular is Mars trine Jupiter.
Now, we start off at 12:14 a.m. So, wear many hats. There's so much energy here. I mean, it's my favorite day, basically, for this. But we got a couple other things going on that I'll talk about. There's so much energy here. We're in an air sign. So, this is Mars in Gemini making a trine to the other air sign where Jupiter is sitting in air. And so, you're able to tweak any long-term plans now to speed them up a tad. Wake up early today. Really, wake up early. You may not even need to set an alarm, but I'm going to say go ahead and set that alarm so that you're up early, because you will have enough energy to get through the whole day. So do not snooze on this today, because you're going to be wearing many hats, and you need the whole day to put all these different hats on. Right? So really nice day. Then we move by 11 a.m. to the Mercury moves into the place of a sextile to Jupiter. So if you're starting to picture this, let's start with the picturing. If you drew a line 120 degrees from Mars to Jupiter, think of that's a trine, so that's 120 degrees.
And I do want to mention here too, because we're going to do a lot of imagining, that if you wanted to not imagine so much and you actually wanted to see a video where Sandy and actually Susan Goodell, another astrologer, are going to be discussing this chart, I put the link in the description right underneath April 17th date so that you can click there, fast forward over to 46 minutes and 36 seconds. You'll see exactly where Sandy and Susan are dissecting this specific chart. We circle everything, so you're going to see this April 17th day, how important it is. So let's continue dissecting.
So let's picture the Mars in a trine, 120 degrees to Jupiter, which right away says it's my favorite day. Now let's add at the halfway point, Mercury. So Mercury now goes halfway between Jupiter, which is 60 degrees, and ends up halfway to Mars. So we've got this extra two aspects. So Mercury's in a sextile to the Jupiter. Sextiles are nice. They give you opportunity to make moves. And this happens at 11 a.m. So collect your tools. Sharpen these tools. Get the proper tools. You have exactly what you need now to think through all the mechanics and mechanisms and details and situations that you need when you have the proper tools. Isn't that a nice picture?
Yeah, I love that.
So then let's go over to the other side. Now that Mercury that's halfway between that Mars and Jupiter that's in that 120. Now that Mercury's making a 60-degree sextile to Mars.
Right.
And this is at 2:09.
Because it's right in the middle of the two of them.
Right. So you're able to think the final act. So, and this is a mutual reception. Now, mutual receptions, ding, 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 ding. Is my thing going to ring? No. That Mercury, and when I say a mutual reception, that one planet is in the other planet sign.
Right.
And they're each in their own opposite signs. Well, not opposite.
They did like the swap.
For instance.
The house swap.
Yeah, like Mercury is in Aries, in sextile to Mars in Gemini, right? So Aries is ruled by Mars and Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So they've done that swap. So you're able to work together very well. There's like strategic chess maneuvers here. It's like you know exactly the way to get to the end of the final act, you've got the right screwdriver. I'm laughing at us doing something and it was like, no, I handed you a screwdriver. You're like, no, I need the other one. I'm like, now I need a small. It was like, okay, but you had the proper tools and you were able to get the job done.
Right. And I also think that having the proper tools isn't always enough. You also need to know how to use the proper tools, and have a little bit of experience underneath that tool belt of yours.
Well, and really, and in the planet of thinking, the mental planet, this is Mercury. And Mercury has gone into the sign of Aries at this point. That's what I'm talking about. And that it's like, yes, I can do it. I'll figure it out. If I have to go to Google it, I'll figure it out. My mind is very fast today. It's very movable. I can figure things out quick. So yeah, it's all of that. So this ends up, these three placements end up in a minor trine.
Very cool.
Because a minor trine are, a smaller kind of, is that an isosceles triangle?
Yes.
Where it's long on one end and then shorter on the other?
With a 90 degree.
Yeah. Well, not 90. It would be a 60 and a 60 for 120. So, but then it makes...
Isosceles is where there's two sides that are exactly the same, which makes it a 90-degree angle.
Because, if you
Thanks, geometry.
Thanks, sister. I don't remember even your name, much less your study. Yeah.
Oh
well,
my gosh,
is.
I can't remember my geometry teacher's name, but
I
I liked him.
Remember,
I thought he was cool.
if I even had. I'm sure I had geometry.
I remember a really quick aside story. I remember we had a terrible substitute teacher that I don't know why, and I'm not triggered by a whole lot of people. I almost could say I hated that guy. I didn't really, but I was just so aggravated by him that I was right by the chalkboard and I started just drawing on the chalkboard, but not just anything. I drew a little cartoon of the teacher himself. It was terrible. I didn't get in trouble, but everyone was laughing at it. And he didn't even notice because he was that terrible of a substitute teacher.
Which reminds me of a story that I got my parents got called into school for. I wrote something on the board.
Can you say it on this podcast?
Yeah, it was after school. We were in detention anyway.
Okay.
Because
adding salt to the wound.
And it was my favorite teacher, actually. And it was a man teacher, and I really liked him. I think I was in 7th grade. And we got caught chewing gum in school. So we got a detention.
Right.
And there was a whole a handful of us, and they were happened to be my friends, so they must have been passing out gum after lunch or something. And we go into our first class after lunch, and we're all chewing gum. We all get detention, and we have to stay that day. So we had to clean the boards and and the out the door and stuff. And I write on the board. Well, we all did. So let's see, how'd it go? I ate my chewing gum, and it ended up coming out my bum. And the teacher came in just then and had to call all of our parents because we were goofing off in detention.
Oh my gosh.
I almost said in contention. But anyway, how stupid is that? Yeah, I got called for writing the word bum.
Yeah, I'm sure your dad, Poppy, laughed pretty hard at that.
I'm sure he didn't even, my dad was so sweet.
Well, and the last part of this day is Mercury square Pluto, which is kind of the perfect buildup that we just did with our stories. Clash of the Titans. We could say class of the teachers. Class of the Titans. This happens at 4:49 p.m. Now, this is a square to Pluto. Watch jealousy and competition here, because all the powerful and all the reasonable moves seek an exchange. Mm-hmm. Mercury wanting to be reasonable, although wants to move forward fast in Aries, has fire, so wants to move forward, and the square going to Pluto in Capricorn, which these are both cardinal placements. Mm-hmm. So this could be just a day of like, how does one move forward in a powerful way, hopefully without
not
stepping on anyone's
without
toes.
Jealousy,
right.
Without possessiveness, without competition. But how do you exchange that? Yeah.
Cool. Well, don't forget to watch that video of April 17th's chart here. That's in the description. And yeah, you'll get also a ton of extra dates throughout April if you keep on listening. Sunday, April 18th, Sun Cazimi Mercury.
To know the way. Now, this is the superior edge, the Cazimi on the superior edge. Remember when we get the Cazimi when the sun receives a planet on an interior edge, it's the retrograde cycle of that planet. Because the sun can never go retrograde. He's the leader of the pack. But this is at 28 degrees of Aries when Mercury is on the outer side, not toward the earth, but on the other side of the sun, moving around in the heart of the sun, which brings it clarity and to know the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, a great way to end the week of just a knowingness and keeping our brain in our heads and our feet in our shoes. So let's move into talisman times. So you have finished 3 talismans. Yes. I was like, 1, 3. So Tuesday, April 6th, to gain authority and financial success. Tell me about this talisman.
I feel it, therefore I am. As the ruler and royalty of this, my life, I claim my nobility and monetary reward it provides. This is a really cool one because I did this at 3:54 a.m. The sun was not even coming up yet, but the moon was. The moon was at 10 degrees, 51 minutes in Aquarius, coming up with Saturn over the rising sign, with Jupiter as well. And all these planets and the rising sign was in the second decan of Aquarius, which is all about asking the authority figures, being the authority figure for what is due you, having the success and the nobility to being surrounded by high-ranking officials, right? To be one of them or with them, and to gain that financial success. So, this is a really cool one because this won't happen again for years. Well, Saturn being there, this won't happen I mean, maybe I can get it later on next
decades?
month. Maybe I can get this next month. I didn't look ahead into May to see if I can get this one. But just all the other planets are very in cooperative here, because that Aquarius, the Aquarius planets right now are sextiling the planets that are in Aries.
And specifically, no talismans are going to be exactly the same. They're
No.
all made at different times. Yeah.
So
let's move on. Saturday, April 10th, to get the plan engaged.
So this one was all those Aries planets in the 9th house aspecting the ruler. Well, not the ruler is aspecting the rising sign of Leo. So to get the plan engaged, I use the help from the big guy and commit to strive and thrive. All systems go. This is the moon. Now the moon is in Aries, and this is a balsamic moon. However, it's about at least engaging with the plan. Typically, a balsamic moon is about, wrapping up, finishing, completing. And they always are. But this is in Aries. So, making its movement toward Mercury in Aries, the sun in Aries, and Venus in Aries. So the moon is kind of really busy here in this placement. So to get the plan engaged.
Right. And even with, sometimes it's like just getting over the hurdle of beginning is a hard part. So I think that may be that wisdom of that balsamic moon coming in saying just begin and keep rolling.
It's kind of like if you're going to jump off the high dive, you've got to get to the high dive and prepare and plan and get your mindset and hold your breath. The other thing that's going on here is that transiting Venus is exact sextile Jupiter. And this is really what I was going after too, because this placement is really nice about the two benefics, Jupiter and Venus, making an aspect. They're just looking at each other and kind of looking at it and saying, hey. And so Venus is asking the big guy for some help here. Venus is at the top of the chart, sitting right on the midheaven. So, kind of there's a movement here of, I see the ability to, I see my way out. I see the
light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Or the finish line. Yeah. And I like that too. So Sunday, April 11th, to easily let go.
And this is when the moon is really balsamic. And this is at 6 a.m. I did this. And now I see the passage through the darkness. I use my guiding light to move beyond this void and into the promised land. I'm coming to my light.
I see so much similarity between the one we just discussed and this talisman, because it is that balsamic phase of just kind of like getting over the edge, and that's all you have to do. But it takes a little bit of time to give yourself the kick to get off that and into that next place. So
I mean, these work hand in hand really well together.
Yeah,
right,
I like
together.
them.
It's like to get the plan engaged that we talked about a second ago, and then to easily let go. Like, now I see my plan, right?
Yeah. Like what I just said. Right. I see the similarities. Totally.
I totally see it. And this is with the moon and the sun in Aries, of course, coming up over the horizon. And so I considered this a night chart, and the Mars is the ruler of the chart because it's Aries, and Mars is coming into a really nice sextile. Mars is coming into a trine with Jupiter. So again, this is like, hey, it's easy for me to, take the fists or the clenching of what I'm trying to hold on to. I am able to let go so I can go into the next road, the next phase.
Right.
Yeah.
And upcoming, you have Wednesday, April 14th, to authentically and artfully connect to reputation.
All right. This is one of the... Remember we were talking about my favorite day is April 15th. No, it was
April
the 17th.
17th.
April
I was gonna
17th
say,
was
no,
my
I
favorite
don't
day, and my
recall.
second favorite day was the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of that, because the moon being in her exalted sign of Taurus in the 10th house, we've got the sun making a really nice aspect to Jupiter. We've got the moon making a square to Jupiter, the sun making a sextile to Jupiter. We have Mercury making a sextile in mutual reception with Mars, and then that is sextiling Jupiter. So this is just to be authentically and artfully connected to my reputation, because of the placement of this and this is the new moon. This is one of the new moon pieces.
And two, because I loved the word artfully, and I don't hear it too often.
Is that a word even?
It is. It is. And it says of a person or action, it's either clever or skillful, typically in a crafty or cunning way, or to show your creative skill or taste, as in like what an artful photograph of that scenery. Mm-hmm. But I like this too, because sometimes to be that artist, you really have to find ways to bypass things, or you need to see a different perspective on how to look at something or solve something. And I like that too, because when you're connecting with your reputation, sometimes, there will be the naysayers. There will be those people in the audience saying, boo, I don't like you. But to really connect with who you are in a genuine way, even that reputation, that more facade that we can have, it's important. And to do that in an artfully done way is impressive.
Well, let me read you the affirmation. So, to authentically and artfully connect to reputation. I am steady here and now. I radiate my worth and beauty into my career that leads others to me, as if a spark of eminence appears.
Another beautiful word.
Eminence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So that's one. I'll have that up for pre-sale.
Perfect. Yeah. And don't forget, everybody, we do have the Orbit of the Month. This is exciting. That is available on the website. Of course, the link is in the description. If you have any questions, you can email me, alex@intentionbeads.com. I am reading too many things. So let's move on to the horizon. This is top of the charts, very important because it's happening tomorrow, Tuesday, April 13th. This is our free vision board, and we call it our vision board party. Because, usually we have at least prepared what we're going to be talking about. And it's really going to be very fluid, and it's going to be very kind of hanging out together. So if you have questions, and we'll do a little bit of explaining and showing you the steps of what we want to do with how to create this vision board, but we don't necessarily have everything pinpointed on what we want to say. So we're going to be ad-libbing and sharing some really cool knowledge.
And that's what you do when you're looking at a vision board, because it's a blank slate, right? And then you're going to add your picture in the center. And then what you have planned is really cool, because you get to identify each individual house theme, and then find something that you in the newspaper or in the magazine that you're cutting out to put in there as what your goal is for the year. And so it's almost like you don't have anything planned, right?
Right.
Like you're in it on the moment.
Well, because we have the structure, and I think that's really all you need when you're having a speech, or you're creating an event, or you need to first start with the structure, and we have that. And that is gifted to us through astrology, because the way that we're doing this vision board is very different. Majority of the time when you're doing a vision board, it's kind of like you have one singular focus, and say it's like losing weight or getting fit. you have like all these cutouts of people working out and the dumbbells and the healthy plate of salad or whatever. And here, what we really want to do is we want to talk about how well-rounded the astrological wheel is. And it starts with, you know, that type of physical activity in the first house of Aries about, you know, self, image, how do you feel, appearance. Yeah. So then we, you know, move throughout this whole wheel 360 degrees around, where we're going to tap into so many different aspects of our world. So I think it's going to be exciting. It's going to, you know, no one's going to know exactly what their vision board looks like until it's done.
It's art.
Right. And some people might not even be done by the time, you know, the event is over. However, that's probably going to be me, because I get very particular about where I want to place things and how I want it to feel. So I'm excited.
Well, I've been watching you plan this and prep for this, and it's been very interesting that, you know, we kind of just had this first conversation around it, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna run this, Mom.
Right.
I've got this vision,
and it started here on the podcast.
Oh, that's right.
I had like a little, and if you were listening last week, you heard it. We were talking about the new moon in Aries, and this is a really wonderful time to set yourself up for the new astrological year. And like we said earlier in the episode, we've done this before. This is happened. This is a, you know, a tradition that we like to use. But this time we're doing it that different way of incorporating the astrological wheel in. So I'm really excited to see how this turns out. Remember, you can join us. Of course, if you're on the email list, you have received this invite, and you can choose either joining the Zoom room, which you will be on camera, or you can join the Facebook Live, where you won't be on camera. So I'm going to be cutting out my words and things that as I, you know, breeze through some magazines this weekend, and I'll be ready with all my supplies, and I hope you're going to be there and share with your family and friends, because we want everyone is invited to this. This is a great opportunity.
Did you put a list together of what they need?
Yes, that's in the PDF. So there's a PDF that will give you kind of like some steps, some preliminary steps, and print that out. You'll have the kind of what looks like the wheel. It looks like a sun, but you'll need the printout. You'll need a picture of yourself, a printed out picture of yourself, magazines, glue sticks, scissors, and a poster. And it can be any size.
Markers if you want, yeah.
Markers.
You can write.
Right, yeah. That's true. And yeah,
stickers and
whatever you want. Glitter. You can, you know, you can jazz it up however you need. Little mementos, pieces of fabric, whatever. Quilt it if you want to.
Ooh, oh God.
That'd be pretty to do a quilt vision board. No,
God.
we're not going to do that. So let's move on. So we have changed the date for the CWS, the Chatting with the Stars webinar. This is the Out of Bounds Planets, where we are going to be talking about. However, it's moved to the next week, April 21st. So this was just a scheduling conflict that we needed to open up. So we just pushed it back a little bit. If you still want to join us, there is still time to sign up. That link is in the description. Again, this is going to be very interesting. If you want to find out like where you're extremist in your chart, this is the place to attend. I have a Mars in...
You have Mars and Uranus.
That's right. Mars and Uranus out of bounds.
Yes.
So it's like, I love doing things that are extreme. I'm kind of like a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. Like I like that feeling right before you leap out of the plane. I like that feeling right before you jump down the bungee cord, even though I haven't done that yet. But yeah, like rappelling and just facing fears. I think that that's really exciting for me, because it's an important part of life, I guess. So anyway,
You know who else has a Mars out of bounds? Walt Disney,
oh, interesting.
Frida Kahlo,
Kahlo. Yes.
and Pablo Picasso. These are just a few. Wait till you see some of that. Wait till you
Very
see
cool.
in this.
But interesting that they're all kind of artists.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
And wait till you see who has moon out of bounds. Pretty far out of bounds. You'll have to wait.
Stay tuned.
Wait till you
Join
see who
us.
has moon out of bounds. Any ideas, anyone? That means goes to the extreme
When it comes to emotions.
when it
or
comes to
home.
the moon.
Yes. So okay.
I'm gonna do it to you. Here it is.
Ah, gotcha.
Woo! Did you get that?
I did. So April 24th, we have our May Astrology Forecast. This is happening on Facebook Live like it is every single month. The link is in the description. We welcome you. Also, don't forget to download your cheat sheet. This is a super easy, very organized way for you to keep an eye on all of these transits that are happening throughout the month. And we put on the symbols there for you, the degrees. So if you do have your own chart printed out, you can kind of check and see, oh, do I have anything at 26 degrees Pisces? So that you can know, at least be a little bit more mindful and aware of what's going on in your astrological chart. So let me see. Next, we do have our Mother's Day pop-up coming up. We are going to talk about that in our house, so stay tuned to the end of this episode. Then, finally, we're going to be talking about May 11th through June 24th, Summer Solstice Constellation Bracelet and Workshop. We only have about 3 spots left, so highly recommend that you join in if you're thinking about this. Of course, if you have any questions about any of this, email me, alex@intentionbeads.com.
Woo woo!
Okay, let's move into
That's
our
a
house.
lot. We better get going here.
We already
Mars
have.
is in Gemini for everybody. I mean, if you've sat here this long listening to this podcast, I bet you're either driving or taking a walk or doing something because you can't sit still.
Right. Well, I'm glad that we get to come along on all these trips of yours. So we wanted to discuss this Mother's Day pop-up, and for those of you who are new to our podcast, we of course hand make beads. We have for almost 30 years now.
I think we can add.
Yeah. Right. A ripe round age of 30 years. And that has been, from early basement beginnings you started. And you started the company called She Beads. And I grew up in it and, have been creating with you ever since I was a little girl. But
and here you still are.
And here I am. And Mother's Day was always our favorite holiday because we would unveil some really fun, exciting spring collections just before. We would have a Mother's Day, some sort of promotion. And because we resonate so well with mother-daughter that it just works for us. And so okay, fast forward, Intention Beads comes, you're studying astrology. And we have a brick and mortar shop. We have stores all over. And we decide to close She Beads.
Yeah, you decided and I agreed.
Yes, because I saw the difference.
Yeah,
I saw the difference between the way that you used to operate with She Beads with all this zest and vitality and excitement, but that was transitioning over to Intention Beads. And it was so clear because as soon as you would talk about Intention Beads, you would light up, get so excited, couldn't wait to tell everyone absolutely everything that you knew. And yeah, so that's what we did. And that has been the transition that we've been going through. And I wanted to give that quick background because, we have new listeners all the time and this is our history. So we like driving down memory lane every once in a while.
How do we know we have new listeners? I don't know. I can't see you.
Well, of
course. Can you just raise your hand right now? Here I am.
Yes. Oh, so the spring collections are going to be called Aries, which is this sultry black with kind of these very fluorescent type of colors.
Pink and green.
Greens and pinks and purples.
We have 3 collections.
We have 3 collections. So these are the spring collections coming out that we've been talking about for a while. Then there's also Gloria, which is more pastel. It's got this sherbet orange, this really light mint green, and a beautiful lilac. Mm-hmm. And that one's Gloria. It's got morning glories on it.
Morning glories.
And finally, we have Tula. And Tula is this muted, really modest purple that has these pops of orange and these like really smoldering kind of blood oranges. And we love this
They're
one
tulips.
too. They're tulips. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
orange
Sorry.
tulips.
I'm not stating the obvious. I'm going with all the details here. And so these are the 3 collections that we're bringing. And we have not done this in
5 years. That's true.
Yeah, in 5 years. It's been quite a while. So
where we've done new collections, we've picked out the clay,
named them,
rolled them down, made the beads. They're ready for photography,
right?
And they'll get up on the website. So check out.
And it's a perfect gift for Mother's Day. They're beautifully chosen. They're beautifully handmade, of course, and
we picked all flowers because we really wanted to feel like it was like coming out of the ground. That we're all popping up. We're feeling a little bit more alive and lively, and we get to show our petals, our blossoms, and to smile in the world with the sun, in the sun.
Right.
And so we really wanted to go with the flowers. Now, and then we chose the names because we were going to identify the flowers. We don't always do that. But what about giving a free bracelet to the first Iris, the first Gloria, and the first Tula?
Yes. So all of you listeners, if you know anyone by that name or your name is any of those, Iris, Gloria, or Tula, email me, oh my gosh, I keep doing this, alex@intentionbeads.com. And we want to give you a free bracelet because
of that
collection.
Yeah.
So we're excited about this giveaway. These are such unique names that we kind of hope that there are people out there with these names. So we know that with this podcast, we can reach so many. So let us know. Do you know anyone? Share this podcast episode with them and tell them to email me. So, yeah, I mean, what has been your favorite part of bringing collections back?
So, you called me the tailor temptress?
Yeah, the tailored temptress. Mm-hmm.
Because we had to take dresses up for the wedding to get tailored. And I have never been in this lovely dry cleaning store up this because I pretty much wear yoga clothes now for the last 5 years anyway. That getting up there, it was very friendly. The lady that owns it is so friendly, and she has a beautiful like dressing area, and then you stand up on a little cube, and everybody's like looking at you, and
shout out to Soapies in Evanston.
And you walk out, and she's like, "Oh, I have to tell you this. You look, oh my God, you look amazing." And she goes, "And trust me, there's a lot of people that come in here and put their dress on that they want me to, alter. And I have to bite my tongue because they haven't asked me what I thought." Mm-hmm. And she's like, that dress fits you. You look amazing. Anyway, I got all into that. And so I fell in love with her. Easily. And then you had to go down back to the house to get another dress that we had just bought. Maybe we'll see. And she was giving such great advice on the couple outfits we had brought in. So Alex was like, "I'll leave. I'm going to run and get that other dress, and we'll see what she says about this." Meanwhile, I'm sitting in the dressing room, and she's got these clients and customers coming in, picking up and dropping off their laundry, and we're like, "Hey, hey, how's it going? How's the kids? I saw your wife the other day driving. Is she still working for blah, blah, blah? And it was just like these conversations that were going on. And I just sat in this dressing room and just thought, oh my God, this is what I miss. You know, having a storefront for 25 years, that there was the remembrance of people still do support local businesses, women run, and, you know, hand, you know, I mean, she does dry cleaning, but she's also the seamstress also, and had to do that in order to dry clean, right? Kind of thing. And the neck, then I hear the bell ring and somebody, hey, Terry, how are you doing? How's the son? Did your son, how's he doing from his broken leg? Like, it was just like, oh my God. And I just fell in love with it more and more because I miss that. And I just was reminded that, you know, here we are pushing out she beads again, and the rolling down in the cores that we have to make, and the art we have to form, and the deciding what patterns and what we're going to call that, and are we adding the Swarovski crystals, and are we doing silver plate, and are we doing all clay, and are we doing jumbo necklaces again this time, and what earrings are we going to do? And it just brought me back to all of those, and people that are listening right now that are like I mean, customers, clients, friends, whoever, that helped me get where I am because of that camaraderie. And
the
I
connection,
so miss that.
That connection to community. And, you know, we haven't necessarily felt that void until all of this quarantine, where it's hard to have those fun pieces of small talk that we all miss.
It's not even about business, right? You're at your business. Somebody is coming in to spend their money.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what up? How are you going? I saw you walk by the other day. She's like, yeah, I was going up to the corner to get my...
I'm still Facebook friends with a lot of our old clients.
Anyway, so here we are back in She Beads land, prepping for a Mother's Day pop-up. And it just makes me want to do more pop-ups throughout the year. In fact, we were able to... I wanted to do 5 collections, and you're like, Mom, we've only always done 3. So I'm backing you down to 3. The other 2 will pop up in the summer. And I was like,
we have much more limited capacity than ever.
Yeah.
So these will be limited edition collections for sure.
Yeah.
We are so excited to unveil them. And if you want to get on the email list, make sure to click that mailing list link I have in the description, and double check that your preferences are she beads and intention beads.
Yes.
That way you're going to get both those emails. I think that is all for
wrapping up.
We're going to wrap for this episode. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You know, you touch our hearts when you send us those 5-star reviews, as well as those emails cheering us on and supporting us to keep going. So keep those coming. We love those. And
we're cheering you on.
We're cheering you on as well.
Yes, and giving you all good information to use this week.
Yep. So thank you, everybody, for listening in. We will see you next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And the search ends here, where the night is totally clear, and your heart is fierce, and so you finally know you control where you go.